Many attribute the strained relationship between Prince Edward and King Charles to their age difference. So how bad is the connection between Prince Edward and Princess Anne? Astonishingly, Anne and Edward share the most profound bond among the royals. Regardless of their age and positions, Princess Anne has consistently shown exceptional care for her youngest brother. What is it about Edward that elicits this special attention from Anne? Let us explore their connection. Although it is unknown how close Anne and Edward's relationship was, Anne has always acted like a normal older sister, even to this day. When Anne, Princess Royal, was just 14 years old, her life underwent a significant change with the birth of her younger brother, Edward. The difference in their ages was more than just numerical. It marked a shift in family dynamics and influenced their relationship throughout their lives. Anne, having experienced the early years of royal life and adolescence before Edward's arrival, naturally took on a more mature and somewhat parental role. This dynamic was strikingly evident during the late Queen Elizabeth II's Platinum Jubilee Thanksgiving service held at St. Paul's Cathedral. The public's attention was drawn to Anne and Edward, who were seen together in a manner that underscored their sibling relationship. Anne appeared as the protective older sister, while Edward, by then a grown man, seemed to still rely on her guidance in social settings. This was particularly visible when Sophie, Countess of Wessex, and her daughter Lady Louise engaged in conversation, and Edward was seen following Anne's directions. The contrast in their expressions, Anne's serious, almost authoritative demeanor, and Edward's more playful, cheeky grin, highlighted the ongoing sibling dynamic. It was clear that even as adults, the age gap and Anne's early role in the family influenced their interactions. The dynamic between Anne and Edward was not just a feature of their public appearances, but also extended into their private lives, especially in times of family crisis. Following the death of their mother, Queen Elizabeth II, the sibling relationship took on new dimensions. Anne's role as a stabilizing force became more pronounced. Body language expert Judy James noted that Anne, despite her own profound grief, endeavored to emulate the strength and stability of their late parents for the sake of her siblings. James pointed out to the Daily Mail that Anne's approach was more stoic and reserved compared to her siblings. While her brother Edward and other family members appeared to be more open with their grief, Anne maintained a stiff upper lip, a traditional British approach to adversity that has characterized her public persona. Unlike the stigma that people imagine about the royal family, Anne and Edward united to support their brother Andrew in a difficult legal context. Every family has its share of complexities and strained relationships, but few instances are as pronounced as that involving Prince Andrew. Known for his notorious association with the late convicted offender Jeffrey Epstein, Andrew's reputation has been marred by scandal and controversy. Following the settlement with his accuser, Virginia Giuffre, Andrew has largely withdrawn from public life. This retreat has been welcomed by King Charles III, who has made it clear that he prefers his younger brother to remain out of the spotlight. However, this stance has not been uniformly supported by the rest of the royal family. Recent events highlighted the tensions within the royal family regarding Andrew's public presence. Just 2 days before King Charles III's 74th birthday, a shooting party hosted by Princess Anne and Prince Edward became a focal point of this internal discord. In a gesture that appeared to signal support and unity, Anne and Edward extended an invitation to Andrew to join them for the event. This act of solidarity was notable because it contradicted King Charles's position on Andrew's public visibility. Charles's disapproval of Andrew's public engagements was well documented. The king's preference was for Andrew to remain out of the limelight, a stance that stemmed from a combination of personal sentiment and the broader implications for the monarchy's reputation. Charles's approach to handling Andrew's situation was to minimize his public appearances and maintain a low profile, which he believed would be in the best interest of the royal family's image and unity. Despite this, Anne and Edward's decision to include Andrew in the shooting party revealed their differing perspective. Princess Anne and Prince Edward had privately expressed concerns about Andrew's well-being. They seemed to feel that, regardless of the public's perception, their brother needed familial support during a tumultuous period. Their decision to host Andrew, alongside their own personal motivations, likely reflected a more compassionate view of their siblings' situation. It is a rather unfortunate truth that Anne was not really close to Edward's wife, Sophie. Navigating relationships with in-laws can be challenging, particularly when there's a notable age difference and contrasting personalities involved. This dynamic is evident in the interactions between Princess Anne and Sophie, Countess of Wessex. While there is no significant conflict between them, their relationship appears to lack the warmth and camaraderie often expected of close family members. Princess Anne and Sophie, Countess of Wessex, have had their moments in the public eye that reveal subtle tensions and differences in their interactions. Body language expert Judy James has provided a detailed analysis of their dynamics, which highlights some interesting contrasts in how they engage with each other. One notable aspect of their relationship is the visible difference in their body language during public appearances. According to James, during one particular outing before the COVID-19 pandemic, Sophie's behavior appeared to be oriented towards seeking Anne's approval. Sophie's posture and demeanor were described as upright, with a girlish and keen-to-please attitude, which contrasts with Anne's more reserved and disengaged posture. Anne, on the other hand, was observed to settle back into her seat and show little interest in the interaction, maintaining a more distant presence. While Sophie would exhibit a tooth-bearing, polite, royal smile, Anne's response was notably restrained, characterized by a slight raising of her brows and a closed lip expression. This difference in body language suggests that Sophie may be making an effort to fit in with Anne's expectations, while Anne remains more aloof and less responsive. In another instance, Sophie's characteristic giggle seemed to annoy Anne slightly. James noted that Sophie's naughty school kid body language evoked a more prim and disapproving reaction from Anne. This reaction could be interpreted as Anne's discomfort or irritation with Sophie's more playful and informal demeanor, which contrasts sharply with Anne's typically serious and composed public persona. However, putting this aside, what we need to know is that Anne and Edward are working together as advisors to the royal family. The royal family has undergone significant transformations in recent years, marking a period of profound change and adjustment. These shifts have been both personal and structural, reshaping the roles and dynamics within the monarchy. One of the most high-profile changes came with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's decision to step back from their roles as senior royals. Their move to California in early 2020 marked a significant departure from their previous positions within the royal family and set the stage for a new chapter in their lives. This transition not only altered the public perception of the royal family, but also had practical implications for its structure and functions. The royal family faced further challenges with the passing of Prince Philip in April 2021. Philip's death marked the end of an era for the monarchy, as he had been a central figure in its recent history. His absence was deeply felt, both personally and institutionally, as he had been a steadfast support for Queen Elizabeth II throughout her reign. The death of Queen Elizabeth II in September 2022 marked another seismic shift. The passing of the longest-reigning monarch in British history led to the ascension of her son, Charles, to King Charles III. This transition was not only a momentous event in terms of succession, but also necessitated a re-evaluation of roles and responsibilities within the royal family. In response to these changes, Princess Anne and Prince Edward have stepped into new roles as official counselors to the king. This development was formalized with the passing of the Counselors of State Act 2022 on December 6, 2022. The act updated the list of individuals who could act on behalf of the monarch when the king was unavailable or incapacitated. Anne and Edward joined Queen Consort Camilla, Prince William, Prince of Wales, and Princess Beatrice as official representatives of the Crown. The timing of the Act's passage was notable, coming just 2 days before the release of the first volume of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's Netflix documentary. This timing underscored a strategic shift within the monarchy, as it highlighted Anne and Edward's new roles at a moment when public and media attention was focused on Harry and Meghan's departure from royal duties. The inclusion of Anne and Edward as counselors reflects their elevated status and responsibilities within the royal family. This role allows them to step in for King Charles III and represent the monarchy both individually and jointly. Their appointment is also a strategic response to the absence of Prince Harry, who would likely have been named a counselor alongside his brother if he had remained a working royal. The need for additional senior figures to fulfill these duties underscores the evolving nature of the royal family and the adjustments made to ensure its continuity and effectiveness. In addition, Princess Anne and Prince Edward share a unique bond that goes beyond their roles as members of the British royal family. Despite the significant age gap, Anne was a teenager when Edward was born. The two have found common ground on several important topics, particularly when it comes to raising their children. This older sister, younger brother dynamic is rooted in a classic familial bond, with Anne taking on a somewhat protective and guiding role towards Edward. Over the years, this relationship has evolved into one of mutual respect and alignment on various issues. One such issue is the upbringing of their children, which stands in stark contrast to the more public lives led by the children of their brothers, King Charles III and Prince Andrew. Anne and Edward have made deliberate choices to shield their children from the intense scrutiny that comes with being a part of the royal family. Anne, who welcomed her first child, Peter Phillips, in 1977, and her second, Zara Tindall, née Phillips, in 1981, has always been clear about her intention to give her children as normal a life as possible. She declined titles for both Peter and Zara, allowing them to grow up without the added pressure and expectations that often accompany royal titles. Anne's decision was influenced by her belief that with every title comes a downside, a sentiment she expressed openly. Her approach has allowed Peter and Zara to carve out their own paths, relatively free from the constraints of royal protocol. Similarly, Prince Edward and his wife Sophie, Countess of Wessex, made a conscious decision regarding their children's titles. They chose not to use the HRH titles for their children, Lady Louise, born in 2003, and James, Viscount Severn, born in 2007. Sophie once explained that their decision was rooted in the desire to prepare their children for a future where they might have to work for a living. By not using the HRH titles, they aimed to give Louise and James a more grounded upbringing, with the option to adopt their titles upon reaching the age of 18, although Sophie believes this is highly unlikely. This shared philosophy of parenting reflects a practical and modern approach to royal life. Anne and Edward's children have benefited from a degree of normalcy uncommon in royal circles. Both siblings have been keen to provide their children with opportunities to experience life outside the royal bubble, fostering a sense of independence and self-reliance. Anne's distance from the throne has also played a role in her ability to keep her children's lives private. As the second child of Queen Elizabeth II, Anne was not directly in line for the throne, allowing her more flexibility in how she raised her children. This freedom enabled her to focus on their personal development without the constant pressure of royal expectations. Edward, while closer in line to the throne than Anne, also embraced this philosophy, possibly influenced by Anne's example and their shared understanding of the pressures associated with royal titles. Together, they represent a shift within the royal family towards a more balanced approach to parenting, one that values personal growth and normalcy over tradition and titles. A recent live poll by YouGov has reaffirmed the popularity of Catherine, Princess of Wales, and William, Prince of Wales, as the most beloved members of the British royal family. This popularity, while expected, contrasts with the dynamics of royal engagements and public duties, where other members, notably Princess Anne, have shown extraordinary dedication and effort. Princess Anne ranks fourth in popularity according to the YouGov poll, but when it comes to the number of royal engagements, she reigns supreme. The Mirror reported that Anne was once again named the hardest-working member of the royal family in 2022. Her commitment to royal duties is unparalleled, as she undertook a staggering 214 official engagements in that year alone. This feat included significant travel, such as her visit to the United States, highlighting her international role and relentless work ethic. King Charles III, while holding the fifth spot in popularity, follows closely behind Anne in terms of engagements. In 2022, he completed 181 official duties. This commitment to public service is notable, especially considering his responsibilities increased substantially with his ascension to the throne following the death of Queen Elizabeth II in September 2022. Prince Edward, although ranking 10th in popularity, also demonstrated a strong dedication to his royal responsibilities. In 2022, he undertook approximately 140 official visits, making him the third most active royal in terms of engagements. Despite his efforts, Edward's dedication is often overshadowed by his sister Anne's exceptional work rate. The comparison of these figures highlights the significant contributions of Anne, Charles, and Edward to the monarchy. While the younger and more popular royals like William and Catherine often capture public attention, the steadfast commitment of Anne and her brothers ensures the continuity and stability of the royal family's public service. Princess Anne's record of being the hardest-working royal extends beyond 2022. She held this title in multiple previous years, including 2021, 2018, 2016, and 2015. This consistency underscores her tireless dedication to her role. Anne's work ethic is deeply rooted in her sense of duty and her desire to support the crown and its various charitable and public functions. Maybe you don't know, Anne joined Edward on a very special occasion in 1969. As a teenager navigating life in the public eye, Anne had responsibilities and experiences that set her apart from her younger brother. Despite this age gap and the differing nature of their royal duties, Anne and Edward shared touching moments that highlighted their sibling bond. One such moment occurred during Edward's childhood and involved an experience that many children only dream of. Every little kid has dreams and aspirations that are often fantastical, and for many, the idea of becoming an astronaut tops the list. The allure of space, the night sky, and the possibility of visiting the moon captivate young imaginations. Prince Edward was no exception, and he was particularly fascinated by space exploration. This childhood fantasy became an extraordinary reality when Colonel Frank Borman, the commander of Apollo 8, visited Buckingham Palace. This visit, detailed by the Royal Collection Trust, was a significant event for young Edward. Colonel Borman, a prominent figure in the history of space exploration, had commanded the first mission to orbit the moon, making him a hero and an inspiration to many. The opportunity to meet such an iconic astronaut was a once-in-a-lifetime experience for Edward, and it brought the dream of space travel into his immediate reality. During this visit, Edward was joined by his parents, Queen Elizabeth II, and Prince Philip. The presence of his parents underscored the importance of the occasion, but it was the participation of Princess Anne that added a deeply personal and familial touch to the event. Anne, who was already well-versed in public engagements and the responsibilities of royalty, shared this special moment with her younger brother. Photographs from the visit show Anne smiling as she watched Colonel Borman and Edward interact. This was a quintessential big sister moment, where Anne could enjoy the innocent wonder and excitement of her little brother. Witnessing Edward's enthusiasm and joy as he talked with Borman was a heartwarming experience for Anne, one that transcended their royal duties and highlighted the simple, universal joys of childhood. Besides, Edward and Anne also attended this sporting event together, making their relationship even closer. Princess Anne's athletic prowess and dedication to sports have cemented her reputation as one of the most impressive royal athletes. A skilled equestrian, she represented Great Britain at the 1976 Montreal Olympic Games, showcasing her talents on an international stage. Her deep-seated love for horses and commitment to sports continue to define her legacy within the royal family and beyond. Currently serving as the president of the British Olympic Association and as a member of the International Olympic Committee, Anne remains actively involved in promoting sports and supporting athletes. Her passion for equestrian sports began at a young age and culminated in her participation in the 1976 Olympics, where she competed in the three-day eventing discipline riding her horse Goodwill. Anne's Olympic journey was a significant achievement, highlighting her dedication and skill in a demanding sport. This experience not only earned her respect as an athlete, but also bolstered her credibility as a sports administrator in her later roles. Anne's commitment to promoting sports extends beyond her personal achievements. Her role as president of the British Olympic Association involves advocating for British athletes and ensuring that Team GB receives the support and resources needed to excel in international competitions. As a member of the International Olympic Committee, Anne contributes to the global governance of the Olympic movement, influencing policies and decisions that impact athletes worldwide. Her enthusiasm for sports was prominently displayed during the 2012 London Olympics, where she played a vital role in supporting the event. As an avid supporter of Team GB, Anne was frequently seen in the stands, cheering on British athletes and participating in various ceremonial duties. Her presence at the Olympics underscored her unwavering support for sports and her dedication to fostering a sense of national pride. Anne's involvement in sports extends to the Commonwealth Games, a multi-sport event featuring athletes from the 54 Commonwealth nations. The Commonwealth Games, while smaller in scale than the Olympics, hold significant importance for the royal family, who are often seen attending and supporting the event. The 2022 Commonwealth Games were no exception, with Anne and Prince Edward attending together to watch the Rugby Sevens competition. Prince Edward, though not following in Anne's athletic footsteps, has pursued his passion for entertainment and the arts, founding a production company. Despite their different career paths, Anne and Edward share a mutual appreciation for sporting events, often attending together and enjoying each other's company. Their presence at the 2022 Commonwealth Games highlighted their close sibling bond and shared enthusiasm for sports. Joined by Anne's husband, Sir Timothy Lawrence, and Edward's family, including Sophie, Countess of Wessex, and their children, the royal family members were photographed together, smiling and engaging with the competition. These moments capture the familial unity and collective support for the Commonwealth athletes, emphasizing the importance of sports within the royal family. Besides joy, Anne and Edward also shared sadness together, especially when their mother passed away. Princess Anne, known for her steadfast dedication to the crown and her embodiment of the British stiff upper lip mentality, has consistently demonstrated a no-fuss approach to her royal duties. Anne's demeanor is often characterized by a businesslike attitude and an unwavering commitment to her responsibilities. However, the passing of Queen Elizabeth II in September 2022 revealed a different, more vulnerable side of the usually stoic princess. In the aftermath of the Queen's death, Anne's grief was palpable and visibly shaken. This period of mourning showed the softer, more emotional aspects of Anne's personality that are rarely seen by the public. Her expressions of sorrow and the visible struggle to maintain composure highlighted the deep personal loss she felt as the Queen's second eldest child and only daughter. During the mourning period, Princess Anne's usually steely demeanor softened, revealing her human side. Photographs captured her looking isolated and desperate to channel her mother's famous skill of stoicism and stiff upper lip, but also quietly struggling with her grief. This imagery was profoundly moving, illustrating the depth of Anne's loss and her challenge in maintaining the composed exterior expected of her. Prince Edward, the youngest child of Queen Elizabeth II, and often referred to as the baby of the family, played a crucial role in comforting his sister during this difficult time. The affection between Anne and Edward, typically reserved in public, became a poignant sight. Body language expert Judy James analyzed these interactions for Express, noting the rare display of sibling affection. James highlighted how Edward and his wife Sophie, Countess of Wessex, were visibly emotional and supportive towards Anne. Sophie's gesture of placing a hand on Anne's shoulder was particularly significant, representing a huge display of affection by royal standards. James pointed out that Edward and Sophie appeared to be the most tearful mourners during the service, with Sophie clutching a hanky to dab her tears, her concern for Anne evident. This shared grief and the visible support between the siblings underscored the close familial bonds that, while often kept private, became evident during this time of mourning. Following the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, the royal family entered what is commonly referred to as the Year of Firsts. This period is marked by significant emotional milestones as they navigate life without the Queen, experiencing key events and traditions for the first time in her absence. For the British public, the death of Queen Elizabeth II signifies a profound national loss, while for the royal family, it represents a deeply personal one. As the year progressed, the family faced the challenge of adapting to these changes while striving to uphold the traditions and duties that define their roles. The 2022 holiday season was particularly poignant for the royals, as it was their first Christmas without the Queen. The family gathered at the Sandringham estate in Norfolk, England, a location rich with holiday memories. King Charles III and Camilla, Queen Consort, hosted the festivities, a significant change in itself, as Charles stepped into his new role as monarch. Princess Anne and Prince Edward, along with other family members, were there to support each other emotionally, just as they had during the Queen's funeral. One of the most significant moments during this time was King Charles III delivering his first Christmas broadcast as king. This broadcast, a lengthy and beloved tradition among the royals, was watched with keen interest not only by the public, but by his family, who gathered to witness this new chapter. The transition from Queen Elizabeth II's broadcasts, which had become a staple of British Christmas, to King Charles's address was a symbolic moment, marking a new era for the monarchy. The Year of Firsts was characterized by a mix of maintaining traditions and forging new paths. According to Vanity Fair, the royal family aimed to keep their cherished traditions alive, even as they adapted to the new reality. One such tradition was the exchange of gag gifts on Christmas Eve, a lighthearted practice that brought joy and laughter amid the somber atmosphere. On Christmas Day, the family continued their custom of walking together to the local Norfolk church, a public display of unity and continuity. What do you think about the relationship between Princess Anne and Prince Edward? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.